All right. Good afternoon, everyone. And I'm very honored to be up here, to be given this opportunity to talk about reconciliation and peace in Northeast Asia. And as a IALRW member, uh, I think Esther has a pamphlet of introduction of IALRW right there. It would be nice if you can hand it out to everyone. Right there. Well, okay. Well, there you will find that I was once a um, president of IARW International. But okay. But anyway, I am presently teaching at a women's university in Tokyo, and I teach peace studies and conflict resolution skills. I would like to introduce the importance of reconciliation and dialogue, and then introduce to you some of the activities we do as a religious organization and as civil society organization. So first of all, I would like to begin by saying I believe that peace and reconciliation begin with envisioning. Envisioning is an important process for peace education. I envision an inclusive, healthy, prosperous, peaceful Asia, the region I presently live in. I'm very concerned about times. I don't have much time, but okay. And so peace and security in Northeast Asia may depend upon developing relationships among nations. Many of our speakers have talked about the importance of meeting. That meeting is healing, the importance of understanding and working together, the importance of trying to get to know each other. And you have heard from Professor Terasawa yesterday about the Korea and Japanese relations. So as peace and security in Northeast Asia depends on this developing relationships among nations based on mutual respect and trust. And this relationship building may be especially important as historical scars have not been fully healed yet since the end of World War II, as you have heard from Professor Terasawa yesterday. So why is it that we are in that stage? And I believe that one of the first steps to reconciliation is peace building, and that is trust building, as many of our speakers of this conference have articulated. People are often inclined to focus on their own needs and judge the other without taking the time to get to know them and actively listen to their needs, as was mentioned earlier. People should free themselves from assumptions and judgments. There's no justice nor freedom without respect for others' lives and rights. Justice and freedom prevail only within the framework of respect and love. Reconciliation may have a crucial role to play in the healing process of the Northeast Asian region to achieve harmony in a culturally diverse society. Desmond Tutu, as introduced by Reverend Dr. John Young on the first day of this conference, Tutu says, quote, "The process of reconciliation involves uncovering the truth, offering sincere apologies, achieving forgiveness, developing empathy, making amends, respecting human rights, working for an inclusive society, and hundreds and thousands of dialogues. When a relationship is disrupted, our well-being is threatened. Reconciliation seeks to reestablish a harmonious relationship. It seeks to reestablish trust when trust is broken. However, reestablishment of that relationship and trust is only possible by first facing the history of the painful past to the process of true reconciliation, described as follows by Tutu, quote, "True reconciliation exposes the awfulness, the abuse, the pain, the degradation, the truth. It could even sometimes make things worse. It is a risky undertaking, but in the end, it is worthwhile because in the end, dealing with the real situation helps to bring real healing," unquote. Reconciliation is not achieved overnight. It is a long-term process, and all people concerned, victims and perpetrators, need to strive for its achievement by making amends, respecting human rights, and working for an inclusive community of one family bound together in a delicate network of interdependence. Enright, professor of educational psychology, the University of Wisconsin-Madison, who has pioneered the scientific study of forgiveness, clarified that reconciliation is an act of two parties that requires the parties to renew trust and resume a relationship after a period of estrangement. If human injustice is committed, it is important to restore honor to those who have been treated in an undignified way. Montiel, a researcher on forgiveness, contended that there is a need to uphold the basic human rights for the dignity of human life in pursuit of justice. Processes of public forgiveness, apology, justice, and reconciliation are considered instruments for social healing. The process of reconciliation can be described using medical metaphor, where empathy is the antiseptic and forgiveness is the bandage keeping away threats of infection. Love is the heart pump of healing, bringing the lifeblood to nourish the relationship and absorb germs. Empathy can also help people develop the capacity to see a mass of humanity as individual human rights with individual souls, as a throbbing human soul that loves and hates, toils and tries, laughs and weeps in bitter tears. Dialogue plays an important role in achieving emotional attunement of the parties involved. One act of dialogue may not be enough. Reconciliation may require hundreds of dialogues or even thousands. John Paul Lederach, an American professor of international peacebuilding at the University of Notre Dame, who has written widely on conflict resolution and mediation, describes the process of conflict transformation as such, quote, conflict transformation suggests that a fundamental way to promote constructive change on all levels, interpersonal, intergroup, and social structural, is dialogue. Dialogue is essential to justice and peace on both an interpersonal and a structural level. It is not the only mechanism, but it is an essential one, unquote. From the experience given above, reconciliation in Northeast Asia, where historically painful past is shared and an inclusive, culturally diverse region is hoped for, would require hundreds and thousands of dialogues instead of threats and economic sanctions, instead of dividing and labeling societies as good or bad. If opportunities for true dialogue are made possible, then the countries of Northeast Asia will probably share the same desire for a positive future. To conduct healing, reconciliation, peace building, there's a need for actors to perform these processes. From my experience, reconciliation in the grassroots level exerts good results from opportunities to meet and be acquainted with each other and to study and work together through peace education. I would like to report on the activities of religious and civil society organizations we are presently conducting for peace locally in Japan and in Asia. So first of all, I will introduce opportunities to meet and be acquainted with each other. As introduced earlier, our youth group of IARF Japan chapter have conducted programs. And as mentioned, with Kokun IDP, every year they have met. And I have heard from the past experience of the youth of many years ago said that in the beginning it was tense. And they were sort of bombarded with questions from the Korean group about whether they know the true facts of the history that had happened. But over the years, when they continued on this meeting every year, things changed to what Yuto Hara has experienced in Korea. And that is why it is important to continue this relationship of meeting with each other. I would also like to share with you that reconciliation is possible through gathering of various religions at the International Interfaith Congress of IARF and IALRW. Let me share with you an IALRW story of 1996 Congress. In Iksan City in southwest of Korea, at the Won Buddhist headquarters, there was a culture program where each participating organization or chapter performed a song or a dance. It's a culture program. There, ILRW Japan decided to sing not a Japanese song, but a Korean song called Arirang, a traditional Korean song that is said to be 600 years old. Some linguists have hypothesized that Ari meant beautiful and Rang referred to a beloved one or bridegroom. So in native ancient Korean language, with the two words put together, the term Arirang meant my beloved one. It's also a song that the Korean protesters sang during the March 1st movement, a Korean demonstration against the Japanese Empire in 1919. So it has both sides. Well, we didn't know that, but we sang that song anyway. And we said, we will sing. It's a popular song in Japan as well. So why don't we just sing 3 verses? It's a repetition of the same song. So we sang, okay, 3 verses. And we started to sing. Then the Korean participants in the traditional dress started to dance, and we couldn't stop singing. And we probably repeated the verses over and over again for maybe about 20 times or more. We're saying we still have to continue on because they were all dancing and they were really enjoying themselves and all that. And when we stopped, somehow the Japanese participants and the Korean participants started to hug each other. And we started crying. We didn't know why we were crying. But it was a moment of reconciliation without words. We didn't need words for that. And so it was a touching experience for that. And that touching experience was given to us by IALRW and IARF Congress. So we need to continue on with this conference. And IALRW has also conducted several study tours to visit various religious institutions to deepen our understanding toward various religious traditions and visit areas where support is needed. We have visited a Theravada Buddhist monastery in Leh, Ladakh, India, to learn about Theravada Buddhism and to fund and support their women's literacy project. In fact, ILRW International and Japan has supported the literacy project in Leh, Ladakh for years. Also, we do have a conference called International Peace Corps of Religions, and this is led by religious leaders of the Northeast Asian region, namely China, Korea, and Japan. And we meet every year to make for dialogue between religious leaders to restore and maintain peace in Northeast Asia. So we do that often. Next, I would like to introduce opportunities to study and work together through peace education. I still have 10 minutes, yay. And what is required of religious leaders is to promote peace education, I would say, because it reflects a peaceful mechanism that religion can offer. Peace education based on religious foundations teaches ethical values. Peace education can build skills and knowledge to conduct and practice these processes for reconciliation and peace building. Thus, peace education is crucial in establishing a peaceful community in Northeast Asia. And peace building is a grave concern of the civil society, as it cannot be achieved exclusively by governments and international organizations. The philosophy of peace education is to educate and transform the social structure of society, which would include the benefit of the less privileged. The outcome of the education may not resolve the tense situation in war zones of the world, but it may be that education for the young is to realize that every individual has a choice to resolve conflict nonviolently, and that choice rests upon the people. People can choose to have war, but people can also choose to have dialogue and transform structures without violence. The structure of the society can be dismantled to make it a safe and secure place where there is peace and adequate standards of living. Transformation needs to be done at all levels of every institution, from the individual to the highest level of government. Furthermore, peace education is an effective method for preventing armed conflict, building diplomatic relations, and establishing a culture of peace within the region. It is especially necessary in societies where military participation and violence have become the dominant culture. Civil society actors, therefore, need to work cooperatively to find effective ways to implement peace education in order to overcome the prevailing culture of violence and militarism. Peace education contributes to educating civil society to be able to address the issues and take action for peace building. In December of 2019, I attended a GPAC, Global Partnership for Prevention of Armed Conflict, related conference in Ukraine. It was in Lviv, where a peace education project called the Culture of Good Neighborhood was widely being conducted throughout Ukraine. And teachers gathered to exchange ideas and take back good practices of the successful communities in Ukraine. Ukraine is a multicultural and ethnic country. Ukraine also faced countless incidents of painful past that threatened communities from establishing an inclusive, culturally diverse society. So through this program, citizens of Romania, Austria, Hungary, and Russia were living collaboratively together. That's what we saw. We visited the school and we saw children from these countries wore their traditional costumes, and they greeted us with their traditional songs, which means that the school recognized their ethnical background and respected their ethnical background. And it was a wonderful program that really touched us. Aside from Ukraine, we also heard stories of how Bosnia and Herzegovina, Serbia, and Croatia, as well as how Armenia overcame generational trauma and institutionalized peace education in all levels of education. I am also part of this peace education working group and we are still working actively. And out of GPAC activities came NARPI, which stands for Northeast Asia Peacebuilding Institute. NARPI offers 2 weeks of peace-related courses where participants learn, feel, and practice peace building, as well as share experience and networking for possible exchange programs among students and adults of Northeast Asian countries. This series was conducted in Mongolia. I was in charge of a course, Theory and Practice of Peace Education, for 10 years. Participants learn how to plan a workshop and use active learning methods. From these course, participants can reach out to their own community by offering workshops. Chinese, Koreans, Mongolians, and Japanese participants gather for 2 weeks and attend courses on peace building. After the first week of studying and working together, skepticism, prejudice, and misunderstanding that have been developed in their upbringing transform into a more cooperative and accepting attitudes. Mostly Chinese and Korean participants have eased their ill feelings against the Japanese, and they worked together with them and learned about peace building. You realize that they were all aiming toward a common goal, which is a peaceful region, peaceful world. Their change of attitude is a sign of hope, that the participants from various ethnic backgrounds and walks of life can learn how to make decisions and find positive ways to go forward. Next, as a member of Religions for Peace Japan, I was given the opportunity to organize programs for Reconciliation and Education Task Force. The Reconciliation Education Task Force of Religions for Peace Japan has conducted a 2-year conflict resolution and reconciliation facilitators training program. The participants visited various places such as Mindanao, Philippines, where on and off fighting between Muslim armed opposition groups and the Philippine military forces have continued for almost 40 years, resulting in high toll loss of human lives. The surge for sustainable peace and full respect for human rights remains a big challenge there. There are other issues of divided societies which still continue to this day. The participants visit victimized cities to learn about their true lived story and to conduct workshops to reminisce the positive past and to envision a positive future, as well as to show how much we care. After a 2-year program of trainers training, that program ended and another program will start again this coming fall. So there will be a collaborative joint program, not just Religions for Peace, but also with NARPI, the Northeast Asia Regional Peacebuilding Institute, where the participants of NARPI, of the previous trainers training, right, will be able to lead a workshop. And apply what they have learned in a real life training course. So it is sort of like a collaboration, working together, and also practicing the expertise that they have learned through the programs. I also had the opportunity to conduct peace education workshops that includes conflict resolution, restorative justice, and anger management at the Rishoko Sekai Seminary. And second to the last, let me introduce my department where I work for. I teach peace studies and conflict resolution skills, and this department aims at developing active citizens. The curriculum covers a comprehensive approach, which includes disarmament education, human rights education, global education, conflict resolution education, multicultural education, education for international understanding, interfaith education, development education, gender-fair, non-sexist education, environmental education, and education for sustainable development. And if you're interested, I'm happy to share the curriculum that we have. And lastly, I am presently conducting a project with the Asia Pacific Center of Education for International Understanding, which is known as APSIU, which is UNESCO Korea, for peace education in the region to develop a common curriculum for peace education in Northeast Asia. This common curriculum aims to provide peace educators of China, Korea, and Japan with the common goals, meanings, contents, methods, and learning outcomes of peace education, pertinent and responsive to the needs and context of Northeast Asia, while being faithful to UNESCO's vision. The curriculum aims to empower peace educators by providing a clear guide with clear visions and references. And we have worked on a draft curriculum. And if you're interested, I am happy to share that draft curriculum with you so that maybe you can also give us your ideas and comments. And we hope to have that curriculum ready for publication at the end of this year. So in conclusion, there are issues. I have 1 more minute. In conclusion, there are issues in the region that have not been resolved for more than 70 years since the end of World War II. There are domestic and regional conflicts that the Northeast Asian region still faces today. Grassroots social religious organizations have mobilized to help Japan regain broken trust, begin the process of reconciliation and peace building, and build positive domestic and international relations. By achieving these objectives of justice, effective reconciliation, and peace education, the countries in Northeast Asia may be able to build a collaborative future. It is suggested that IARF and IALRW would serve as an active agency for promoting education for peace and global citizenship, not only in the Asia-Pacific region, but also in the world, in collaboration with grassroots social and religious organizations such as GPAC, NARPI, and WCRP, Religions for Peace, to regain broken trust, begin the process of reconciliation, peace building, and build positive domestic and international relations. By achieving these objectives of justice, forgiveness, and effective reconciliation, the countries in Northeast Asia may be able to build a collaborative future. We need to work through various networks for the well being of vulnerable groups, including women and young people, and the well being of the environment. Forming a network with the local NGOs, CSOs, NPOs, and working together with the citizens, IARF and IALRW will be able to get much support to fulfill their mission, our mission, for an inclusive and caring society. Thank you. One minute.